And welcome back to Live at Urban Wild. It is a very special session here. Every day is a special session when we get to do what we do here, just to spread the abundance mentality in what we call Urban Wild, which is where urban meets wild, where the city meets nature, where people and other living things seem to compete over space. And then it becomes a question of whose lives matter. We are trying to show, and we do show, and we teach with abundance mentality what it is when all lives matter, and to live in peace and harmony with nature. And that means not just with animals, it starts with animals and it extends over to other humans and all living things. Of course, everyone given their place and trying to deal with everyone's needs. Here's one of our newest constituents, Aphrodite. This is a proof, in fact, that this little creature survived and is born and is happy and feels safe in coming out to our little community, and knows where he or she can go for water, for food, for safety, and for some attention like this. The fact that she would leave her food where she was drinking and eating to come for a pet is a sign of trust, which is one of the greatest honors. Okay, I know you want to play, but there's another cat over here who also wants to play. I don't like when they fight like that. So we're seeing here, we're showing here, we're demonstrating here that when we recognize the needs of others, first of all, we recognize the needs of others, we take it into consideration when we try to work on solutions for ourselves. That is compassion. That is compassion when we try to look at the most harmless, most harm-free, the most guilt-free solutions to solving our own problems of our needs and our wants. And in finding balance between needs and wants, meaning when we're focusing more on needs and recognizing how wants make sense as long as they're not hurting someone else. Needs are needs. A need you need even if it hurts someone else, but hopefully we'll find solutions in which we do that they don't hurt someone else. And a want is something that you shouldn't have to hurt someone else to get a want. If you have to hurt someone else to get a want, the question is, how badly is that want a need to justify hurting someone else to get it? In that equation, in life's equation, when we realize that we really have no room for wants when we have all of our needs, because if you were to replace a need with a want, whether it's in your time, whether it's in your budget, whether it's in your storage facility, whatever it is that you need to allocate from your resources to a want over a need, is a waste. Because by definition, if you don't need it and you only want it, you'll be creating a void, you'll be creating a deficit, a lacking, even if it's only in the sense of how you use your time, energy, or other resources. So then we teach how to focus on needs. And when we talk about needs, we realize, yes, everyone has special needs. Not to belittle those that have a clinical diagnosis or some other kind of certification. We recognize how hard it is to get those and the value of those and why they're important. Because it takes sometimes papers to prove to people who we are and what we are. Whether it's a university certificate, whether it's a contract, or whether it's a designation. I'm sorry, little guy. He was on my foot. I didn't realize. Boker Tov. Whether it's a designation or some kind of group authorizing that something is either is fit or isn't fit, whether for consumption, for use, or for work, or for other kind of integration to society. So when we rely on others to certify our worthiness, that's when paperwork and certification and designations come into play. We believe that everyone has special needs, meaning we're all individuals, we all have our needs. And in such, especially since the resources are available, theoretically for sure, in practice also for sure, the question is just who's managing those resources that are readily available and abundant. I have this tiny little precious constituent following me. Doesn't understand the rest of how big I am. Yes, this little creature we call Aphrodite. It's one of the newest kittens that's come to join our party and likes to come for attention every day. Right over here. Very, very tiny kitten. So back to the special needs. I'm sorry I get very distracted by this is what I do when I'm not on camera. Give attention to the little creatures here, the little constituents. Just have to be careful not to kick her, not to startle her. So as I was saying, we believe that all lives matter and everyone has special needs, meaning we all have what make ourselves unique and special, and in such we have our needs that make our needs special, that some people would call them wants, but no, they're actually needs. So we all have universal needs that are the same, which we talk about all the time, because of course we have to have the safety with which to enjoy safe air, water and food, and then community. It's as simple as that. There's simple rules that we teach and then expand upon depending on circumstance to help people apply them. And then we apply them wherever we are with the resources available for the constituents available. The cats we use here in these videos for the background are because it's non-political. You don't need to ask permission, nor does it trigger off some kind of a protest somewhere. We're feeding the cats, especially since we're not using any resources allocated for anyone or anything else. All of these terms I'm happy to explain and elaborate on, but tried and tested, which is why we do these daily videos, to show how little we need to do what we're doing. Which is why when we're not permitted to do it, when all we're asking for is the permission to do what others aren't doing, it's almost criminal. Or we claim that it is criminal to being denied the permission to do what we need to do. That comes from the basis of a passage, well not a passage, a chapter in the Babylonian Talmud, Baba Batra, where it explains that when there's an opportunity to help one, it doesn't cost the host anything. Just a question of giving permission for the guest, let's call it, to benefit without it costing the host anything. Not only are we obligated morally and halachically, ethically, to allow for that benefit, but if we do not allow for that benefit, it's considered to be as immoral as Sodom. In other words, that is what Sodomism is. Sodomism is not forgetting, as it says, not forgiving, not allowing another to benefit, even if it doesn't cost you. On that level of cruelty, that level of insensitivity, if a person is on that level of insensitivity, then they're practicing the practices of Sodom, according to the Talmud. This is important in reference to some of the biggest questions of what are conflicting the world, which seem to somehow boil down to how we populate this particular country, because it boils down to always in the end is who is a Jew, because based on who is a Jew is the question of who gets to be in this country, lead this country, make decisions in this country, which seems to somehow affect everyone in the world regardless of the fact that we're a tiny minority within a minority. So the ironies and the paradoxes and the ridiculousness of all this is not lost upon us. But we recognize it and we respect it, and based on that we also are working within that reality. So in Ezra, who was also the high priest, who was not the high priest, the priest, the Kohen, was also the prophet and also the scribe, when Ezra was gathering the remnants of the children of Israel to go back from the Babylonian exile to rebuild the first temple, meaning to build the second temple, and had to decide who was worthy, who were the right people to take with him. It wasn't a question of pedigree, it was a question of who has the proper character traits of compassion, mercy, and shame. Meaning the attributes are the opposite of what we called sodomite in the earlier discussion. So the purpose of what we're trying to teach is to open and enable resources like what we're in now that are neglected and that aren't being used properly to be shared properly for common use to solve most of the social problems. I have to deal with some constituents offline, so I'm going off camera. I'm going to take care of the other stages of what we do here. Infinite love and gratitude. Keep in mind today on the lunar Hebrew Jewish calendar, it is the 7th day of Adar, which is, besides being a week before the festival of Purim, which we have great announcements and events we have planned. Today is a great day of miracles and prayer. It commemorates the birthday and anniversary of his death of a perfect 120 years for our master and teacher Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu. And it's a day that is serendipitous to seeing wonders and miracles. So it's a great day for prayer. We hope and pray to realize not just what's called the vegan dream, because it diminishes it, but the dream of the ultimate redemption, where we all can live guilt-free lives in peace and harmony with others and one another, to share, like in the Venus Project, from a scientific or secular point of view, where we can share the resources and share the abundance and just enjoy. We call it Club Chill, we call it Club TUS, we call it the Chill Zones, we call it Barnes Coin is the currency. All of the above we're happy to teach and share in the abundance mentality. Over and out.